guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya. This is my cat Cody, and today I'm going to do a reaction video. This video is by a channel called Cal McKinley. I don't think I have ever reacted to this channel before, but this video is called 11 Things Not to Do in Australia, Must See Before You Go. And this video is 5 years old, so just be aware of that in case there's anything that has maybe changed since then or whatnot. But yeah, this is a 5-year-old video, but I'm curious to see what types of things that people are not supposed to do. Thank you, Cody. Like in the USA, we have videos like that too. Like, don't do this when you come to the USA. You know, things like don't forget to tip your waiters when you go to the USA, because that's a thing here. But there's also a lot of things that are very regional based. So for instance, if you come to the USA and you're going to one of the southern states, you know, one thing that they do different than the rest of the USA is they are not afraid to say something to your children if they are misbehaving in public, and they will absolutely say something to your child, whereas other states in the USA are not so like that. Usually the rest of us are very much, I'm not going to tell your children what to do and you don't tell my children what to do. But if you're in the South, those people don't have that same mentality. So they will say something to your child if they're misbehaving. So I don't know if there's places in Australia that are more regional based like that, or if everything across the board, like it works no matter where you are in Australia. So I'm kind of curious about that too. I don't think this video will even go into that much detail really, but I am curious to know if there are regional differences too, like there are in the US. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started on this video. It's not a very long video.
Australia is many things. It's a continent that makes up the 6th largest country in the world and is home to some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. And no, I'm not just talking about Australians. With a little over 8.5 million people visiting each year, tourism is a huge part of Australia's economy.
I'm gonna rewind that.
And no, I'm not
just missed what they said, because Cody's trying to be a pain in my butt.
Talking about Australians. With a little over 8.5 million people visiting each year, tourism is a huge part of Australia's economy. That being said, there are a number of things to look out for when you're there. So let's get right into it. Number 1, don't stray from the path. With over 66...
Yeah, don't worry. I will not do that. I will not do that. If I was in Australia, I would not be straying from any path. I don't want to be running into some animal that's going to kill me. I mean, I know it's like not so likely to get hurt by an animal if you're careful, you know, and you're not in the areas where maybe they don't hang out. But like, it's the same as the US. Like, stay on the paths. Don't go wandering off into the woods somewhere where I'm sorry, my dog's being loud. Where a bear can get you, or a cougar, or whatever. There's something about when I start these videos, all the animals come in here and just be loud. They're so quiet all day until I come in here. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I would not be straying off any paths. I don't want to get attacked. Especially if I was in Queensland. I'm not a fan of crocodiles.
Different venomous species, which is the 3rd largest concentration in the world, by the way. It's important to know where you are at all times. Now, this is especially true if you plan on trekking or camping in the outback, with things like the common brown snake, box jellyfish, and crocodiles. There's no shortage of dangerous animals here, so it's important that you stay on the path when you're exploring. And that goes for warning signs as well, because while it may seem funny to some people from different countries, here they're very real and should be taken seriously.
I mean, it's also very real in the States. People get attacked by things all the time, and it's usually because of their own stupidity, you know? That's usually why. And I would imagine that kind of any country that you go to that has wild animals, a lot of times it's, if you get injured, it's going to be because of your own stupidity a lot of the times. Like in the US, if somebody gets attacked by a bear, it's because they brought food into a place that they're not supposed to be bringing food, or they're not properly storing it in a container that a bear can't smell through. that sort of thing. Oh, cute.
Number 2, don't underestimate the cost. Australia is known for having one of the highest living costs in the world.
I've heard
and
this.
traveling there is no different. Now, of course, this is all subjective depending on where you go and where you're from, but it still might surprise you to hear that a beer costs around $9 Australian dollars, and a meal at a mid-range restaurant costs around.
So like a beer at, like if you were to go to a bar or a pub or something, it would be $9. Is that for like a bottle of beer or like a glass of beer? Like what's $9? And does it depend on the kind of beer that you get?
40. Now, all in all, if you're really trying to save money, you can get it down to around 100 Australian dollars per day. And I'll just throw that number out there as an average. But between transportation, food, and lodging, the prices can get a bit expensive. So it's important that you price out your trip accordingly. Number 3, and this is a short one. Don't say shrimp on the Barbie. Now, this phrase was popularized by
I've heard, this is so funny that people do this too, because I heard that you guys don't even say shrimp, first of all. And like whenever someone asks an American to do like an Australian accent, this is always for some reason what they say, and I don't know why.
80s ad with Paul Hogan, who was later in
Paul
Crocodile
Hogan.
Dundee, and it was sponsored by the Australian Tourism Commission to try to bring in international travelers. But this is absolutely not what an Australian would say. If they would even use that phrase at all, they would say prawn, not shrimp.
Yeah.
So don't make it more annoying than it already is.
Is it just me, or does anyone agree with me? The Sydney Opera House is so much prettier at night, isn't it? Don't you think? With all the lights and everything, so much prettier at night.
Number 4, drinking in Australia. Now for this one, I'm mainly talking about major cities, specifically Sydney, so don't quote me on the rest of the country. But in Sydney, you can't get a beer after 1:30 in the morning because they have something called a lockout law, which means no one is allowed in or out of bars past that point in time. And their last call is at 3 in the morning.
Wow,
and of course,
wait.
don't drink.
So you can't come into a bar or order anything after 1:30, but they don't close until 3? That's kind of interesting. Most of our bars are open until 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is when most of our bars close. Maybe in a major city, you might find a bar open later, but I think in general, most bars close around 2 a.m. And last call is like 10 or 15 minutes before the bar closes, typically. I also haven't been to a bar in a very long time, but I know that the rules are still generally the same.
And try and drive because they have one of the lowest blood alcohol content levels, 0.05, before you can be arrested. And last but not least, don't order FOS.
Really? 0.05? Wow. That's good though. Ours is 0.08. I would never drive with anything in my system, period, personally.
Beer. That's not an Australian thing, that's an American thing. Instead, try and order a bottle of Bundaberg. My Aussie friends will know why I'm laughing. Number 5, don't underestimate its size. Australia is a country with about 25 million people, and because it's a continent, it's made up of almost 7.6 million square kilometers.
This is 5 years old, so there's more than, what'd they say, 27 million? Don't you guys have more like 30-something million now, or close to 40 million now? Something like that?
And despite the fact that the majority of its population is clustered around the coasts, in urban areas, it still means that as a tourist, it's going to take a long time to get from place to place. So it's important to take a look at exactly how long it's going to take you to...
See, they say the same thing about America. Like, 80% of Americans live in the coastal cities. But even if that is true, when you consider that 27 million people in the country the size of Australia compared to 330 million people in the country the size of America, that means there are so many millions and millions of people still living in the very middle of the country. So when you hear, oh, 80% of people live on the in the coastal areas, you think, oh, the middle of America is like dead and nobody lives there and whatever. But you have to remember, like, we have over 300 million people in this country, and you know, there are states where there's not a lot of people. You know, there's, you know, Wyoming, South Dakota, you know, those are states that don't have a lot of people. But the rest of us, you know, we have like millions of people still in our states. So
complete your itinerary. Number 6, don't always tip. Now, unlike some countries, tipping isn't required in Australia, and that's mainly because their minimum wage is the highest in the world, at around $18.93 an hour. Now, in places like the US,
$18.93 an hour is your minimum wage. Ours just went up this year to $15 an hour for minimum wage. Last year it was $14 an hour.
Staff require tips to earn a living wage because the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Now, if you have great service, for sure, at around $18.93 an hour. Now, in places like the US, wait staff require tips to earn a living wage because the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Now,
$7.25 is our national. But I think waiters get paid less than that. Like, I think waiters make like $2.50 an hour or something like that because they live off their tips only. That's the reason why it's so important to tip here. I don't know. Every state has their own thing.
if you have great service, for sure you should tip the person. All I'm saying is you won't be scorned like in the US if you don't.
I mean, trust me, if you come to the US and you get bad service, don't tip. Don't leave them a tip. If they're an asshole to you, don't tip them. Most of the people are going to be so friendly and you're going to get amazing service. But if somebody gives me really shitty service, they are not getting a tip from me. Sorry.
Number 7, don't rely on public transport. Now, because Australia is so big and so spread out, public transport is difficult to find outside major cities. You know, it's not like Europe where you can take a train to a small town, hop off, and then hop onto another train to another small town. Australia is just too big for that to be feasible. So you're better off finding other ways to get around. Number 8, don't talk about immigration. Now, forgive me if I have to generalize a bit in order to get the point across. But for the most part, many Australians dislike the way that the government handles immigration, whether they're anti-immigration or whether they're disgusted by the way the government handles refugees. Of course, there's all the people in between. But the bottom line is that immigration is a big deal in Australia, and it's easier to avoid the topic.
Oh, look at that. That's so pretty. Where's this at?
Number 9.
Where's this clip at? That is gorgeous. I don't know if I've ever seen this. Maybe I have. It looks very much like areas in the Midwest, because we have stuff like this too.
Don't take anything personally. Now, Australians always seem to be joking around, and insults are one of the ways that they do that. But don't make the mistake of thinking they mean anything by it. There's a funny saying where you know that an Australian doesn't like you if they don't insult you, because it means that they actually think there's something wrong.
We are a lot like this here. I can't speak for all the states, but in the Midwest, it is very much like that here. Like, Midwestern, well, men specifically, but any Midwesterner, if you're getting picked on in the Midwest, they like you. They definitely like you. So I think that Midwesterners have this very much in common with Australia. I can't speak to like how people are in New York or Florida or Louisiana or, you know, Montana or freaking Oregon. Like, I don't know how those people are, but I know that in the Midwest, in Illinois specifically, or well, at least in my area of Illinois, because Chicago might be a little different. I don't know. I'm not from Chicago. But in my region, it is very, very much like that here. You will get picked on, and it's always so much fun.
With you, and that it'll offend you. Go figure. So take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Number 10. Don't be afraid to say hello. Australians have a pretty well-deserved reputation for being laid back. And like I was talking about before with the kidding around, they're good at taking things in stride, which makes it easy as a tourist to make friends. And talking to people is a must.
It's a lot like that here. That's what I love about Australia too.
Last but not least, number 11. Make sure you enjoy Australia. Australia is such a cool place with so many fun and interesting people. And there's so much to do there. It's important to keep in mind that these are all general guidelines and tips that I find out while I was there. And I'm sure you'll have a fantastic time while you're there.
Oh, he went skydiving. Whoa. I would not go skydiving. I am not that adventurous. That's so cool though. I would go zip lining. Zip lining is the thing that I would think would be a lot of fun. I remember seeing this thing a long time ago, people zip lining in New Zealand, and like the backdrop of where they were doing it at was so unreal. And that was like the first video that I ever saw that I was like, oh my God, I have to go to New Zealand. I wish I could remember what video it was. It was so many years ago on TV. It wasn't like YouTube or anything like that. It was on TV a long time ago. But I saw that and I was like, oh my God, I have to go to New Zealand. This was long before like Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan or anything like that. I don't watch those movies. So I'm not one of those people that's like, oh my God, I have to go to New Zealand because I want to go see the Hobbit house or something. I'm not a fan. Like, I don't care. But like just the beauty of like Australia and New Zealand, like, oh my God, when I used to see videos of those places, I was just like, oh my God, it's so gorgeous. And the zip lining thing, I really want to do that. That was a great video. Some of these things I have definitely heard, you know, and a lot of these things I feel like are just common sense, you know, like, don't go off of a walking path if you're out in the bush or in a forest or in a jungle or somewhere where there's going to be wild animals. That's kind of common sense. And then like, don't be afraid to say hello to people. Americans are a lot like that. We're very friendly and we will talk to strangers all day long. So that is something that I wouldn't have any type of issue with. I love talking to people all the time in my comments and on Discord. I talk to people all the time. But yeah, it was a good list. I enjoyed that video. Cody is being such a butt right now. Yes, are you a butt? Are you being a butt? Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like or give it a paw. Subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And I'll see you next time.